Wait, did you do that effect yourself?
Yeah, man.
You're lying. Do it again. Oh wow, that's crazy.
This is I thought that because we've been cutting off the podcast for the listeners, you know, and the first like 5-10 minutes of the live show is usually us kind of going like, oh, all right, we're getting started. Let's do it. I was like, all right, we gotta come in with some heat. We gotta come in with some heat. No hesitation on these first moments. People need to be tuned in right away to see the good stuff.
Yeah. Shout out to Duke, man. Big dub. Hold on, let me tweet this from.
I'm gonna tweet it out as well.
Although, I mean, everyone should come to YouTube anyway. But still, if you're on Twitter, we appreciate you. Give me 2 seconds.
I am live with Duke NBA right now. Go. Link.
Ryan,
I think that should work.
Ryan maybe might join. I don't know. He ain't let us know. I mean, I guess he's chilling with Coach K.
He's still he's gone home. He was standing all game, saying he's got to go home and ice his knees, you know. Take a few a leave, get ready for bed, you know.
Oh man. We got a lot to talk about. We got a lot to talk about. I put it all in the headline too. So y'all see we talking about a lot of things tonight. But Happy New Year for one. Oh, let me play the intro. I'm struggling. Man.
2024 off to a great start.
Off to a great start, man.
Trying not to score and everything. We got about 30 threes or something.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of felt that. We kind of feed off that energy.
This place is amazing. Like I really love Duke, and I love the atmosphere I'm in here.
Mark Williams, beast mode. Paolo first half, he had the cramping stuff. Fair enough. Beast mode.
Doing it again. Doing it again for him.
There we go. Welcome back to the Crazy Cast episode. I don't know who's counting anymore. Duke gets a win. But first off, shout out to Field of 68, of course. Who's graciously given us this platform on YouTube. So shout out to everyone watching on YouTube. Shout out to everyone watching on Twitter. Shout out to everyone listening on the podcast. Fortunately, this is a very positive. I think it's going to be actually. We'll have some negativity in the podcast today, but we have a lot of positive things to harp on. Duke smacked Syracuse. Great second half. A classic Duke second half run put Syracuse away. Got a lot to talk about. Mark Mitchell, Tyrese Proctor, Jared McCain. Mark Mitchell Sr. But what are your first thoughts?
Oh, I mean, we'll leave the tweet stuff for later. I mean, just starting with the game. And by the way, how about this home field apparel bomber jacket here, Zion? I know you got one of those. Promo code Crazie, Crazie. Go get one of those.
Crazy.
Yeah, we covered. Good teams win, great teams cover. They said Syracuse is a tough team in that comment just now. I don't think Syracuse is that good. I mean, they're an NIT team. Like they played tough traditionally, I guess. Like they've got a decent backcourt, I guess, but like nobody really in the front court other than the guy that could dunk whenever the rim was wide open, which was often, which we could talk about, I guess. But I think a couple of things really stood out. First of all, Zion, I know we both tweeted about this. The ball moves better when Tyrese Proctor's on the floor. We've been saying it since the beginning. People get hung up on his shooting, but his defense is transformative, and his offense in terms of how he facilitates for others. Mark Mitchell had a great game, an incredible game, and he deserves a lot of credit for continuing to attack, to get downhill. It's a shame that the cramps sort of, cramped his style. And so we didn't get to like keep building on that career high. He could have, but Proctor was feeding him. I mean, Proctor made some incredible passes to find him, and they had really good chemistry. We saw some of the tendencies in freshman guards today. Certainly McCain in the first half, and then Foster kind of throughout today, unfortunately, where it's sometimes hard for them to know exactly where everybody is and to find others in space consistently. Proctor can do that, and he's great at it. So we need to keep putting the ball in Proctor's hands. I think you have to start him. I mean, like, I know we just won by 20, not without him not in the starting lineup. You have to start him. And the other thing to point out here, obviously, is Kyle Filipowski. Boy, the line didn't look great. Obviously, the first half, a tough 7 minutes for him. He was clearly frustrated, committed 2 bad fouls, frustration fouls. But the difference for the bozos who think that, like, oh, because Flip is sulking, get him out of there, or oh, because Flip got his shot blocked, get him out of there, or whatever. The difference between Duke with Flip on the floor and Duke without Flip on the floor is the difference between Duke being up 2 at the half and Duke winning the second half by 18. Like, it really is that big a disparity because of what he does on defense. Okay. And, I've got a follow-up stat to that. And Zion, I don't know if you want me to jump right into it with the CBB Analytics stat. I'll jump right into it.
Go for it.
I'm going to tell you guys right now, that our sponsor is CBB Analytics, my favorite site to break down stats. They got the splits, last 5, last 10 games, home and away. They have color-coded percentiles, making it super easy to understand what the numbers are saying. The shot charts that people post on Twitter, they're the best shot charts available. On-off stats, lineup combo stats, insane amount of info. Any serious fan should subscribe to CBB Analytics. We have a discount code CRAZIE, CRAZIE. When users sign up, you get $40 off. Once again, that code is CRAZIE, crazy. This is my big stat, and this is like people have to wrap their minds around this. People complain, oh, Flip's rim protection. Duke's opponents, when Flip is in the game, shoot 4.7% worse at the rim when he is in the game. They shoot 6.3% better at the rim when Ryan Young is in the game. And obviously, it's very, very limited minutes, but they also shoot 7.7% better at the rim when Sean Stewart is in the game, right? We don't have another option for rim protection and paint protection other than Flip. I know he doesn't block shots like Mark Williams and Derek Lively. I know that he's not, maybe an elite rim protector. But what he does do is he uses his body well in space. He knows how to occupy space. He knows how to be the first line of attack. We can talk about the help defense when Flip is on the court. When Flip goes to block a shot, the help defense is always wide open. But we don't have an alternative to Flip at center. And Flip, when he is in there, the team is so much better on both sides of the court. So even if he's pouting, even if he's in a bad mood, I don't care. He can have whatever body language he wants. But he's still going to get beastly results. He's going to be the best rebounder on the team. He's going to be one of the best defenders on the team, and he's going to make us better on both sides of the court. He's going to be a first-team All-American over the course of the season. Okay? So people gotta lay off when he's got a bad game because the stats don't lie. Look at what happened in the first half versus the second half. That's all I got to say on that.
Like, and like piggybacking off Flip, like you said, it's a clear difference. Like the offense is just 15 times better when Flip is on the court. And that shouldn't be, that should be the case with a first team All-American. Do I think he still has another level to go to? I think so. I think there's a lot he could do better offensively and just the way he attacks. But, I'm holding out hope that he'll reach his peak by the end of the season. I'm not giving him, an excuse, but he wasn't this whole offseason, he wasn't like active. So, I'll give him, some leeway in that right. But I think he still has another level to get to. But for sure, what did he end up with tonight?
Like a casual 12-7?
Yeah,
12-7 and 3. with a block and a
27
steal.
minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, on 27 minutes. Also, like I think there's a world of difference between these games in terms of his offensive aggression and his defensive aggression when he picks up those 2 early fouls versus when he doesn't. Right? Like he clearly goes into a bit of self-preservation mode, you know, because he knows he has to stay on the court. And that does lead sometimes to, you know, he could hit a little harder on offense to carve out that space. He could, you know, smack a little harder, you know, on defense and be a little more physical there. But also he has to be on the court. So if he's got to let some of those things slide to stay out on the court in the second half, that's fine. But yeah, he does need to watch the first half fouls. That's definitely something that as the season continues, we would all like to see.
Yeah. And I think, you know, for Duke to reach his peak, we still need Flip obviously on the floor 90% of the time, but we also need him, you know, being that first team All-American that we like. Flip is still kind of a first team All-American numerically, but he hasn't played like one in my eyes. But you know, we'll see how he reaches his peak eventually. But yeah,
we see every possession he plays. You know, like if you watch Zach Edey every possession he plays, you're going to see possessions where it's like, well, he messed up there. Oh, he could have done better there. I mean, like it happens when you know your own guys too well at the end of the day, right? Yeah. Like, so I still think he's forget the Flip talk minimum in that conversation. Yeah.
Forget the Flip talk. Let's hop to Mark Mitchell, because obviously Mark Mitchell has been, I think we'll get to the comments, the tweets later. We'll get to the tweets later, but specifically him tonight. I guess you can't really talk about Mark Mitchell tonight without talking about Tyrese Proctor. Both, I feel like, had great chemistry tonight. They were probably our only source of offense for 50% of the game until we had the second half where, you know, Flip opened things up for us to, you know, score from the perimeter, and we just started hitting shots. But yeah, Mark Mitchell specifically, man, he's caught a lot of hate. He's caught a lot, like even after those tweets. I'm not touching on the tweets, but like the reaction to the tweets, I just saw Duke fans pile on. And I've always said I believe in Mark Mitchell. Like, you know, I saw too much of the guy we saw last year. It's not even the 3-point shooting. The 3-point shooting is an issue, but last year what intrigued me is his ability to get to the rim at will, finish through contact, draw fouls, and just play with aggression and kind of be that junkyard dog, but a little higher level of a junkyard dog. And we saw that tonight. I feel like, you know, he was scoring in transition, attacking the rim aggressively. And, you know, I think that's the player we need. The threes are nice. They're cool. I get everyone wants to see Mark Mitchell hit a three. I get it. You know, I want to see him hit a three too. Ultimately, for the rest of the season, January to March, he's not going to get covered. That's it. He can hit as many threes as he wants. Nobody is checking Mark Mitchell anymore at the 3-point line. So we need to find ways to put him in position to be more effective. And I think, you know, Flip was in foul trouble tonight. He stepped up, playing a lot of the 5 minutes. And I think, you know, it'll be big for him moving forward, just confidence-wise, because I was getting scared. Once I saw them tweets, I was like, all right, and now I'm a little worried about his confidence, or, you know, what if he's 1 foot out, 1 foot in, 1 foot out. So this was a very encouraging performance from Mark.
I kind of thought that was the timing of the tweet in question was weird to me, because he's been playing better, like notably. And, you know, another thing, again, using the on-off stats on cbbanalytics.com, Mitchell on the season now is, by on-off numbers, our best defender, which you may recall, like at the beginning of December or so, he was a net negative on defense. He had not been defending well in the first several games of the season, I think because he was really getting in his head about the 3-point shooting. Since then, he's let that go. And in fact, in the last 10 games of the season, we are 18.9 points better on defense per 100 possessions when Mark Mitchell is in the game. And that is like the best on the team by a lot. It's 97th percentile in the country over the last 10 games. I mean, those are terrific numbers. And he's got the best plus minus on the team, the best net rating in the last 10 games as well. So again, like The only thing he's not doing well right now, really, is the 3-point shooting.
Right.
The offensive rebounding when he's on the floor as a team has been really bad. I don't think that's just Mark. I think it's the team, but there's something to the mojo of when he's out there. The offensive rebounding is not there at all as a team. I don't know what that is, but it's a thing. And then obviously the help side defense when Flip goes to block a shot, Mark sometimes leaves guys a little open there. But again, he's also still young, and also, if I recall correctly, he didn't have a full off season either, really, correct? I mean, like, wasn't he?
Not
Didn't
really.
Yeah, he also had some stuff going on. So I continue to think he will also get better. And you're right, no one's going to guard him. He could go 5 for 5 from 3 in a game, but he's going to get the Trey Jones in the NCAA tournament freshman year treatment, right? They're just going to let it wide open. And Jay Will talked about it in the game. They said if they're going to give him that much space, he has to use that space to start moving toward the rim. Like,
Right.
I know he has to take a shot or two per game just because he has to, but like, if they give him that much space, the strength he has when he starts moving downhill, I feel like he can use it to his advantage. And if he starts doing that, then they're going to have to guard him a little closer on the outside just because you can't let him get the full head of steam. And then that changes the spacing, even if he's not making his threes. So I don't know exactly how to fix that, but as long as he keeps defending and playing really hard out there, none of it matters. Like, he's a huge net positive the way he's playing.
Right. And I guess all right. Oh, okay. I was like Isaiah Evans. I saw Isaiah Evans tweet. I guess we could kind of jump to Tyrese Proctor from there, because obviously I think him and Mark were kind of the fuel for us in the first half, our only sense of life. To me, I tweeted it during the game. Russ tweeted it during the game. It's time, man. We knew eventually it was coming. We knew eventually that there was going to be a game where we're like, okay, let's be done with this Caleb Foster. You know, I love Caleb, but our point guard is Tyrese. And at points, you know, especially when Tyrese was off the ball or Tyrese wasn't in the game, our offense was disgusting. I tweeted a clip where it was just nasty, where Caleb Foster brought up the ball, got a screen, I think, from TJ Power. TJ Power pops out, then everyone just freezes. Nobody moves. Caleb Foster goes one-on-one, takes a off-balance layup. I'm like, man. And I think I saw a tweet, I think it was from Duke Report, that Tyrese was yelling in the huddle that yelling at the freshman guards that they need to pass, they need to move the ball. When captains tell you that, it's time to, you know, maybe put the ball in the captain's hands and let him, you know, let him do the moving of the ball, because, you know, I think, you know, our best possessions came when the ball was in Tyrese Proctor's hands.
Yeah, McCain was doing it a little bit at first too. I obviously tweeted something about how I didn't think he was having a good game, and then he ripped off 3 consecutive threes in a row. You know, like that's what you get when you're trying to talk about a game live. You know, obviously, and we can talk about McCain some later too. But yeah, freshmen aren't going to be as good at getting everyone involved as somebody with some experience is going to. And Proctor is, I maintain, still one of the best live dribble passers that we've had at Duke in the last decade. I mean, you've got to let him work. And I don't care if the threes aren't falling. I don't care if people think he should be, you know, doing ISO dribble offense stuff more, whatever it is that people complain about in my comments. Like, where is he? He's a ghost tonight. Yeah, you know what he is doing? He's getting people involved and he's playing good defense. So, like, you know, only 2 of the most important things someone can do. Like, it's not up to me to teach you all what basketball is and how it works. Okay? Good God, man. It's so obvious that the team is better when Proctor is out on the floor in general. I know he's had some tough games. I get it. And again, much like with Flip, are there things that Proctor can do to keep coming along? Absolutely. That's true of every player in college. But the team is going to be better, in particular the offense. The ball movement on offense will be better over the course of an entire season with the ball in Proctor's hands. I also want to point out, too, because I don't even think we've brought up his name today, and his name deserves to be brought up. I mean, Jeremy Roach is still continuing to have an incredible season. I mean, like, just the most quiet, and dope ass line today. Like, what did he have? 17, 4, and 2, the 3 turnovers, whatever. But I mean, 7 of 11 shooting, 2 threes, 17 points. I mean, like, that's quiet. The way he does it is so, you look up and Jeremy Roach has, 15 points on incredible efficiency. He's been defending better this season in general, too, over the course of the year. I know I've been one of the first people to point out that he's been a net negative on defense over the course of the last seasons here at Duke. And so far, his defense on the season is not quite a net positive, but it's not really a net negative. And over the last 10 games, he has been playing very well. He's been engaged. He's been active. I think his activity level has always been pretty good on defense. Obviously, we haven't faced some of those bigger guards that he sometimes has some issue with.
He faced big guards tonight. We kind of struggled at points.
When he was on Mintz, there were some issues at times, I thought. But also a few different guys had issues with Mintz tonight. There's just something about I don't know what it is about these like free throw merchant ass, guards who, come in against Duke. And I know that Duke's had their fair share of like dudes who exaggerate when they shoot. Bro, Mintz, every shot was flailing like you wouldn't believe, man. Like before, he was doing how Kobe would do the leg kick out? He was kicking both legs and both arms out. He was starfishing his ass out there, man. Like, wow. Just
hey, man, that's the league today. He's ready. He's ready for the league.
Yeah, he's going to join the likes of Johnny Flynn and Tyler Ennis as Syracuse point guards in the NBA. Look, I don't have to watch him play again this year, so I don't care. They're an NIT team. We have to be able to do this against teams of this quality. We did, especially at home. You have to be able to do it. Fought through some good adversity in the first half with the most important player on your team on the bench for the majority of that half. We won by 20.
I do got a response to this. Anthony, shout out to Anthony. I see you in the comments often. He said, I want Roach to improve his finishing at the rim. He gets stopped almost every time he attacks. Honestly, I think Roach is our best attacker at this point right now, at least right now. I think I prefer Mark maybe going to the rim, but I don't think anyone attacked the rim with more confidence and fearlessness than Jeremy Roach. Like even on the fast breaks we saw today, like he's fearless, man. I respect him every time he takes the ball to the rim.
Hey, here's a CBB analytics stat on Jeremy Roach for that exact person. On the season, Jeremy Roach shooting 46.4% in the paint. That's 6.1% above the league average. And he is shooting 70.8% at the rim. That is 8.8% above the league average. So, he's above average inside right now. I mean, I know that in the past, he sometimes, and I don't blame him for this, there have been times when he's been asked to dribble into traffic and pull something out of nothing. I don't blame him for that. But as a smaller guard, does he sometimes get into some turnover trouble in those situations? Yes. But do I also think that he's the best creator off the bounce on the team? Yeah. I mean, I think that's a given. I mean, who else would it be right now in terms of consistency? When he takes from the left elbow, mid-range jump shot, he's shooting 64.3% on those. You don't do that. No, Division I field goal percentage from there is 36.6%. He's shooting 64.3% on those. He doesn't miss those. I mean, What are you going to do? He can't, he's on a heater. I hope he stays this way all season, man. If he stays this way all season, he might could he be a first team all ACC guy?
Who, Jeremy?
Yeah. Because Kyle will be there. It just depends on who else in the ACC.
Yeah. Do they do it by position?
No, it's just the best dudes.
I'm about to say RJ Davis.
He could average 16, 17 points in ACC play. And so
I'll say it depends where Duke ends up number one, because he probably has a lot of competition. Joe Girard, PJ Hall, RJ Davis is probably locked up a spot already. Flip is probably locked up a spot already.
I think RJ, PJ, and Flip, assuming they all stay healthy, have all three locked up spots. So then it comes down to, I think you're right, who the best teams are.
Hunter Salas too is fighting because he's been putting up numbers.
Yeah, I mean, and there's some dudes on some teams that are bubbly kind of mid teams that are gonna, I mean, I think that I think the kid from Pittsburgh has no chance now. Judah Mintz is gonna put up a lot of points this season. I don't know. I'm not saying that it would happen. But the fact that I even think it's within the realm of possibility says a lot about just how well he's been playing.
Yeah,
so,
I think he'll definitely be in. He's definitely a second teamer. If not, he doesn't land on a first teamer. But I think he's definitely deserved that right.
As long as he continues to keep playing this way, I mean, I think there's no question that he'd be. I'm gonna look up who the leading scorers are in the ACC because I'm not sure, and I'm curious.
I'm about to tweet it out. Can Jeremy Roach make first team or ACC?
People are going to be like, who said that? Clearly it wasn't Russell.
We got a question here. Do you guys think after tonight it's too soon to put Proctor? No, we kind of touched on this. Yeah, I think we're ready. Let's go back. Yeah, I think this this was kind of like exactly what John Shire was waiting for. He was just waiting for a moment to say, my freshman looked young tonight. Let me bring back my, former projected top 10 pick, Tyrese Proctor. Apparently he's not you said he wasn't in the first. I didn't even look at the list. He wasn't in the mock draft today by ESPN.
He wasn't in the top 25. But I think sometimes he doesn't put people in if he isn't sure they're definitely coming out.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, so which would also explain Vicini just tweeted out something after the game about Jared McCain and sort of Reed Shepherd from Kentucky in tandem, saying that here are two guys that maybe don't have NBA athleticism, but they are so good at what they do that maybe you just have to take them and be well, if you're this good at the game of basketball, then you'll figure it out at the next level, regardless.
Yeah.
It's another conversation.
I kind of told y'all today. I feel like Jared is going to definitely enter. I think both of them are going to be back in the first round mock drafts by March. But I also think Jared, even if his name is in there, there's still a good chance he might come back to Duke. And we should all hope for it. And I think that's a good segue because we got to talk about Jared McCain. Because I got to address some people. Who are not annoying me. I don't get annoyed by Duke fans because y'all are family, but some things just trigger me. They'll trigger a reaction from me. But a lot of people were kind of quick to say, he's not a shooter. He's not a pure shooter. I've been fighting that all season. Jared McCain is a pure shooter. Ray Sutton asked, who is Jared McCain the best Duke shooter since who? Since Luke Kennard. A lot of people in my message said Gary Trent. Gary Trent wasn't consistent enough. AJ Griffin, great shooter. Did a lot more stationary shooting. Could not really shoot off the dribble. Didn't see him much. Not that he couldn't shoot off the dribble. You didn't see him much create. You didn't see AJ Griffin dribble the ball up full court, pull up in transition from three with someone maybe still in front of him. I'm not calling anybody idiots. No, Duke fans aren't idiots. There are some people out there who who
Bro,
wild
there are
out on
some
Twitter.
idiots. Every
Okay,
fan
yeah,
base has idiots, dude.
yeah,
Every fan base has
yeah.
idiots.
But anybody who follows me and everyone who follows this show and watches this show, you are not an idiot. But yeah, and I think before the season, I found some old tweets. I got into a debate in March, actually probably after the tournament. People arguing that Caleb Foster deserves to start over Jared McCain, and my biggest point was Jared McCain fits better with the lineup because of shooting. And I know they argued that Caleb Foster had better as good shooting numbers in high school. But if you watch them in high school, a lot said Caleb Foster wasn't a pure shooter. He was more streaky.
Just look at the stroke. I mean,
everything told you that McCain is a pure shooter and he's going to translate to the college level. I know people are worried about his shooting translate, but he's such a pure shooter that you knew it was going to translate to this level. And I'm glad we're finally seeing it because we've needed a shooter for so long. And we finally have that. And I think it's just about maximizing his shooting ability for the rest of the season. I think we've seen it. What is he averaging? Like 18 a game, past four or 5 games. He stepped up, man, and I'm glad to see it.
Yeah, I mean, the people who are saying this, they are idiots. You don't have to be nice to them.
I won't say they're idiots, man. That's strong, man.
They deserve to be made fun of. Because if you start to sell a dude's shooting ability after his first 3 college games, then you are dumb. That was after that Michigan State game, he had shot 3 for 11 on the season. Okay. That was the only time this season he's been sub 40% from 3. That includes even after, he had the tough shooting in the 2 losses. He was 1 for 6 in the 2 losses that followed. He was still shooting above 40%. I think we said on this show, because people were talking in the comments of the show after the Georgia Tech game, like Jared McCain, like he's not really like a shooter like that. He's not. And I don't remember exactly what it was, but I said on one of these shows, somebody can go back and look at the clip. I was like, he's shooting 44% from 3. Like, what do people think? Like, yeah. Now, do I think that there's a world in which, because he's a freshman, he's going to have games where maybe like a taller defender or, maybe just your natural freshman in January stuff. Again, his first half this game was not great. He's going to have some ups and some downs. That comes with the best freshmen have those ups and downs, right? Like, so people need to calm down when it comes to McCain. I think McCain clearly processes the game really well. He is still learning how to create for others. He's still learning, I think, how to finish over guys that are bigger than him when dealing with that sort of physicality, when that dribble drive at the paint. We saw a couple of those sort of go awry today, and I'd say in the last few games, he's had a couple of those. So he'll work on that. He's what, 10 games into his, how many games have we played? He's got so much time to work, especially if he comes back for his sophomore year. He'll be a preseason first team All-American. Like, they'll put him there if he decides to come back. And he'll be like a guy that everyone goes, oh my God, him and Cooper Flag. Like the hype train would be completely out of control. But deservingly so. He's great. Down 3 with 5 seconds left, I want McCain. I mean, down 3 with 5 seconds left this year, dude, you want Jeremy Roach. I'm sorry. You want Jeremy Roach. If it's an off look, would I be very comfortable if McCain's got an off-the-catch shot? Sure, absolutely I would. Would I be more comfortable with the Jeremy Roach off-the-catch shot with 5 seconds left? Absolutely. We also just have a bigger sample size of Jeremy Roach taking shots with very little time left on the clock. I don't even know who that Copeland dude is. That's a Kiki Palmer. I do not know this man. Sorry to this man. I do not know.
Who's Copeland?
Like, I was like,
no, I'm serious. Who was Copeland? Like, who's Copeland? Need to quiet down.
He was a dude. He was the dude that when he fouled Mark Mitchell, he came back up the court going like, Like being like, "Oh, he's
Okay.
flopping," like making a hand gesture for the people listening on podcast form.
This is the number 24 dude that everyone was tweeting about that stepped on a logo or something.
Yeah,
That's all before the game. Yeah, he started.
Put up a minus 11. My man was pressed.
He stomped on the logo pregame. Yeah, Syracuse brought some weird energy. The guys brought some weird energy tonight. I'm all cool with talking smack. That's part of the game. Judah Mintz, you were down 8 points talking smack, like talking crazy to Tyrese. Then Duke just goes on a run and closes out the game. Don't do that, brother. You got to know where you at, man. You ain't Cameron Indoor, man.
He was mad that the refs weren't buying the free throw merchant act anymore. Like he was looking ahead to his career as a shorter Michael Carter Williams. Like
oh man.
Like, and JJ Starling was a nothing burger in this game. I mean, the dude that showed up was the guy who got a slew of wide open dunks.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I was like, yo, this man has the easiest job I ever seen. This man got a whole highlight tape of wide open dunks.
That guy's mixtape is gonna be all Duke.
All Duke.
I was stunned, dude. Isn't in the box score on on the site there? Go to the visitor stats. It said I think they only had 5 dunks as a team, and that he had 11 shots that go in. Dude, I would have sworn that was 11 dunks, man.
11
that guy
dunks.
was dunking.
He made a 3.
I missed that. I don't know how. Can you dunk a 3? Can you dunk a 3? That dude was out of control. Mark said Duke's pick and roll defense needs work, to say the least. Yes, to a point, sure. But I think that Flip playing very tentatively because of the foul trouble early definitely hurt that. And a lot of Brown had at least 3 dunks at the end of the first half. So, I mean, I think he had 16, 18 points in the first half. I don't remember exactly what it was. So a lot of that efficiency came when Flip was not in the game. When Flip's in the game, Duke's pick and roll defense is a lot better. When Proctor's in the game, the pick and roll defense is a lot better. I'm not that concerned presently. Ryan Young on the floor, his pick and roll. He tries. He plays with good energy. Thoughts on the second half start, since we usually struggle? I mean, it was good. Syracuse just they're not that good, man. They're fine. They're okay. They're average. What are they on Ken Palm? They're like 90th or something. 85th. That's like your most mid-high major record and resume imaginable, So yeah, we needed to start that second half better because Flip was back in the game. And so then all of a sudden, what a surprise. We're better when he's on the floor. We've had some slow starts over the course of the season, sure. But I mean, Ja Morant, good Lord. Honorary Dookie Ja Morant.
Honorary Dookie.
He did a slam dunk where he did the Corey Maggette slap the backboard. Yeah, so I don't know, man. I think we're going to continue to have some struggles with starts, especially in the first half. Like in the first half, that's where we need Flip to stay on the floor in the first half.
Yeah, we did get some Sean Stewart minutes tonight.
They weren't
someone tweet. Yeah, they weren't great. They weren't great. I don't think they were alarming, but like I said, someone tweeted at me. I think they were trolling me. I don't know. I've moved on from the Sean Stewart thing. I said that on the last show. So, you don't see me tweeting about Sean Stewart anymore because I actually think that is it's done. You better just hope for sophomore. Anyway. Yeah. For this year, it's done. And that's okay because I think they're starting to figure it out, at least, with their rotation. But yeah, that's not going to hear from me anymore on that. So good luck with that.
There's a world in which too, he just figures it out later in the season, where he gets, that classic, like every year, I feel like late in January or whatever, we have like a game where a dude is all of a sudden like, whoa, holy cow, this kid who never plays like came out like and really did something in the spot where we really needed him. I mean, and Sean Stewart's like an obvious candidate for that, So I'm definitely hopeful that that there's more to come from him. Duke needs Power, Stewart, or Young to complement the 4 or 5 positions for Duke to be really good. I mean, that or Flip and Mark need to play 30 plus minutes every game. I mean, we have a serious issue as it pertains to minutes when Flip is not on the floor. I mean, that's if Duke, you can look into your crystal ball and say, well, this 5-person lineup that Duke has with our, starting 5 is terrific. I'm going to pull up what their like numbers are right now in terms of like nationwide. Yeah. Our Roach, McCain, Proctor, Mitchell, Flip lineup and our Roach, McCain, Foster, Mitchell, Flip lineups, on the season are in the 99th and 96th percentile of 5-man lineups in the country. We're one of the best teams in the country when they're on the floor. We're not when they're not. And, you can look into your crystal ball and see a game where we go up against some big man that gets flipped 2 fouls in the first 5 minutes. And then that might be curtains, man. That might be how it goes down. Like, if Flip stays on the court the whole time, all 6 games in the NCAA tournament, we can win the championship. I certainly believe that. I genuinely believe that. But if Flip can't stay out there, might be a wrap. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll find out as the season progresses.
Yeah, I think we'll definitely see that in I think bigger games.
We went to zone today. I wouldn't be surprised if a solution to some of that is just that, like, they throw some zone out there. Like, I don't love that option, especially against some of the better teams in the country. Like, if you go up against UConn and Donovan Clingan is in there and he gets flipped 2 fouls, like, then UConn can just drain threes against a zone. There are some teams that have a big man that can get flip and foul trouble that are also sort of tailor-made to decimate a zone. So we do have to solve that, whether it comes from Flip, playing a little more conservative, to start the game. But I'm sure Flip also thinks he needs to set the tone energy-wise early, like, to some extent. Like, he doesn't want to come in and be not like energized, getting the ball early Flip. He wants to be that dude. He wants, like, we just got to, like, I don't know. It's got to be tough for him. I feel for the kid. It's a big ask. They're asking a lot of him.
Yeah. But I mean, you talking about Flip?
Yeah. They're asking Flip. They're asking Flip to do everything. And
but I mean, that kind of comes with being, who you are.
It does, but I do think that a lot of the best players. I feel like if Zach Edey goes to the bench for Purdue, they have like a plan for like what they would do if he's not in or whatever. Like there are teams that have plans for what they do, and like at least so far this season, we haven't seen enough of it, unfortunately. Yeah. And Ryan could, dude, Ryan, if anything, he's nothing if not a smart player. Like, Ryan knows his own limitations and he works hard. So, like, depending on the matchup, sure, Ryan can come in and be real effective. He can be effective like he was against Baylor for 5 minutes. Those are beastly 5 minutes. If he can be a plus 10 in 5 minutes consistently, then this isn't even a conversation.
Yeah. Quickly, what's Reeves' deal?
Not ready.
He's hurt. He's hurt, and he's behind. He's behind the process, and he at this point it's too late to kind of get him back in the swing of things. So I don't think we'll really see him the rest of the year.
He was also always projected like blue-white game notwithstanding. He was always brought in to be a multi-year guy. Like,
yeah, but
I know that there was talk. I know there was talk, but like the plan before he stepped foot on a court freshman year into that scrimmage, the plan was he's a multi-year guy.
yeah, but next year I don't know. People are saying red shirt. It's gonna get clogged next year too. It's not like there's much upside in using him. Unless the foot speed increases randomly. But we'll see. We'll see.
You also can't play him with flag. That's not the type of game that flag wants to play. Like like we want to run with flag and we want to give flag some space to like get downhill or to get his post ups in and do his thing. Like Reeves is purely a dunker spot 3 feet within the rim guy. So then like that just doesn't play to flag's strengths either. So it's a tough spot. It's a tough spot.
Yeah. I think it's time. I think we're about 45 minutes in. So
want to hear about the tweets or what is
man, we got to address these tweets, man. Mark Mitchell pop tweets. He tweeted a lot.
It worked.
Oh man, I guess we can read it for those not on Twitter that are listening to the podcast.
Also, if you're not watching on YouTube, go to YouTube. Why are you not watching on YouTube? Come to YouTube, leave some comments. And if you're watching on YouTube, hit the thumbs up in order to hear Zion read this tweet here.
Yeah, hit the thumbs up, man. We as a family do not support what we're seeing from Mark at Duke. How do you show up at a university and lose your identity? Both Mark and Duke need to work it out. Disturbing. There was other tweets. Let me try to see.
Some of them got deleted. Some of them he deleted right away.
But I asked Twitter, and they found me a couple. So let me see.
He also retweeted our boy Ryan at one point.
Oh man, maybe it's a Ryan burner. Let me see.
I was gonna say, do we have confirmation that this is actually his dad?
I think it's his dad because Mark does follow him, if I recall. And then there was a lot of, I don't know whether these insiders or like just people in the community were always following him, but it seemed kind of weird just to imitate Mark's dad. That'd just be very random. Like, why are you imitating Mark's dad? It would,
but there are weirdos out there. I don't know.
There's definitely weirdos out there for sure. The other one, he had a lot of tweets, but he quoted this saying, "This tweet is not a cry for help. There are many families and athletes that I can identify with this. We just happen to have a soundboard that hopefully some can lean." I don't even know what that means. But thank you to those that are sympathetic to these young athletes coming men.
Does it like that was another question I had, and I'm just asking because I genuinely don't know. Like, does he speak English as his first language? I don't mean that as a
man. Don't do all that, brother.
I genuinely don't. I genuinely don't know, dude.
Nah, man, he's from Kansas, bro. Come on, bro.
Well, so then that makes me like question like some of these tweets are like erratic. Is my point? You know what I mean? Like,
I think he's old. He doesn't understand.
You think he's just like typing bad and like it doesn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think he's number one typing bad, but also I think he doesn't understand the ramifications. Let me get this on the screen. He doesn't understand the ramifications of what his tweet can kind of do. That's kind of the disconnect between the older generation and the younger generation, because he didn't grow up on social media. So while he may just see this as another tweet, he doesn't understand what can come with it. I will say, I tweeted this. Only thing I didn't like was the Duke fans' reactions that were just like coming at tweeting at his dad. Because what does that look like? You attacking his dad?
You can't do that.
Yeah. You attacking his dad, and then in the same way you're indirectly attacking Mark because the way y'all were attacking his dad, you were bringing up why Mark is not playing well, and it wasn't like a supportive type thing. It was basically y'all saying your son is trash, and that's really what I didn't like. Other than that, I didn't agree with the tweet. I told y'all, I thought the tweet was very weird just to tweet out, and that's why I think it's a disconnect between the older generation and the younger generation. It was no reason to tweet it out. Even if you feel that way, I don't feel like he was wrong. But you just didn't need to tweet it out.
Yeah, but I thought the timing was weird. Also, I'm going back and looking at the other tweets, and yeah, maybe it's just like he's just like typing bad, like because I read that same tweet that you read, and I was like, I don't even know what he's trying to say. Like I genuinely was confused by it. That's why I wasn't trying to be disrespectful with the English thing. I just sometimes, and that also was why I wondered whether this was actually his dad, because again, there's weirdos out there that try to stir shit up. I don't know, right?
Right.
So when I just see some like weird tweets I don't understand, and people are like, "This is his pops," I'm like, word, like what's going on here? Especially because again, he'd been playing well. Like he's not shooting well, but he's been playing well.
Yeah.
So the timing of it was really weird to me. Like the retweets that he was doing in like November, where he was like, what's going on here, where he retweeted our boy Ryan. Like
I didn't even see those retweets.
Well, yeah, you can scroll back. He was just like a little like, what's going on? Like I don't. Yeah, look at what was it? I just had it pulled up, man.
Let me show the people. Let's scroll back on his tweets a bit.
Yeah, you're gonna see a big Ryan Lohman, the Duke Nation. Shout out,
contributing to the trouble.
Yeah. Yeah, tweet about offensive identity.
Stealing his bars about identity. That's crazy.
Yeah, I know. So but at that point in the season, Mark was struggling on both ends. And so I think it makes sense for him to be like, what in the world is happening then? But now they've been playing well. So yeah. Somebody said this is all Ryan's fault. I agree.
It is Ryan's fault.
Yeah, Duke fans, don't do this. Don't do this. What are you doing? This is another example of idiot behavior. Don't do it. Even if you think what he's saying is super wrong, even if you think that this not only isn't the place, but it's disrespectful to Shire, whatever high horse thing you want to do, you don't tweet at recruits ever. You don't tweet at negative stuff at players ever. And you don't tweet at a player's family. What are you thinking? Mind-boggling stuff. So, I just think the timing was weird. Again, I wasn't sure what to make of it. He had deleted a couple of tweets too, about he had tweeted something to follow up being like, this isn't a shot at Mark or a shot at Duke. And then he deleted that one later. I don't so again, I was like, what is happening here? But Zion, you know better than most. Sometimes players' parents or uncles or whoever else, they feel like expressing their feelings.
Yeah.
And it's hard to keep 100% of people 100% happy 100% of the time. You're just never going to do it. And again, I kind of read his follow-up tweets in conjunction with this as Mark also has things to work on. I didn't read it.
Exactly.
I didn't read it as this is all Duke's fault. My son is perfect and Duke has ruined him. I didn't take it that way.
Yeah.
But you know what? If that tweet led to Mark, somebody tweeted me, or somebody sent me a text that said, maybe Mark played today to be like, okay, Dad, will you shut up now? Will you just, when your folks get on your case a little bit and you just got to show them you're all right and be like, I can handle this myself. Okay.
That was my big thing. Why were people trying to judge the relationship of Mark and his dad? People were saying, "Oh man, that's such a bad father." I'm just like, man, stop, man, just stop. That just gets me mad because I just look at it from a player standpoint. Mark is very active on Twitter. Whether you think he's not, Mark watches people's tweets. Mark is liking tweets. I'm seeing like, Mark will randomly pop up and my notifications just a like or something. He's watching people's tweets.
Yeah.
So like when he sees his dad, number one, getting clowned upon by Duke fans, or people are taking a shot, basically calling Mark trash. People feel players feel a type of way, and they will use that against you to feel some type of way when they're ultimately making a decision. Should I come back to Duke, or should I transfer? Should I hit the portal? It's like those things do factor in. So like, just be careful. It's one thing to constructively criticize, without any emotion, but when you start getting personal like that, it's stop. Just stop.
Yeah.
Man.
And it's hard. I mean, I know a lot of people want to comment. I tweet about this all the time, but like, if you want to comment on games during a game and a player is having a bad game, you can say this is a bad game from Mark, no question about it, right? You don't tag him in it, but you can talk about him in the moment. But once you start saying like this dude sucks, or once you start saying this dude is trash, or once you start saying like broad things, you know what I mean? Like like I feel like people obviously I've said things in the past about Jeremy Roach which have been construed as hate by people, but I try every time I say anything about any player, including Jeremy, I've always said this element of his game this season, it has not worked out. Over the course of his career, this has been a trend, right? Like I'm trying to say things very neutrally. Like he's clearly a very stand-up guy. He's a brilliant offensive player. All these players have strengths. All these players have things they can work on. Like, so dude's got to like all y'all have to calm down with how you say things sometimes. Like
Mark,
be critical.
Mark did comment on this. I'm trying to find a tweet to pull it up. Someone asked him, Carter O'Neal, just see the tweet. It said, asked Mark Mitchell about his dad's tweet this weekend. His answer, nah, that ain't got nothing to do with me, man. I'm good. I love Duke and I'm grateful.
Isn't that
So
that's like when your dad like says some shit on Facebook, like shares some like shares something like embarrassing. Your friends are like, dude, you see what your dad like put on Facebook? And you're like, hey, that's his business. That's his business.
Ain't got nothing, no clue me in that nonsense, man. But hey, man, let's be careful. Yeah. That's my message, Duke fan. Be careful going at people. You don't have to necessarily agree with what he did. I don't agree with what he did. But I'm not going to sit up here on a Sunday, on a holiday weekend, talking about Mark Mitchell's dad's tweets and coming for him. Come on, bro. We got stuff to do better than that, man. That's all I have to say on that.
Yeah, you should instead screen cap the tweets and text them to your friends and share your funniest stuff privately within text. You don't tweet them publicly. That's you could say whatever you want in the confines of your own private domicile, you know what I mean? Like, but once you start tweeting at parents, like that is whack, and you're an idiot for doing it. Like, don't do it. There we
go, calling people idiots again.
He is. I'll tweet that. Anybody who tweets at a parent some negative shit about their kid or about what they are doing are idiots. Period.
Shout out to Isaiah Evans. Shout out to Isaiah Evans in the building tonight.
Oh, man. He's going to be so good.
Nah, I love Isaiah Evans already, man. His mentality, his demeanor, the fire he plays with.
Yeah.
Nah, man. That's the type of players we need in Cameron, man. I respect to everyone who's walked in that door in Cameron, but a lot of players don't come enough with the fire, and He gonna bring that. I know he's hyped to play for Duke. So
I love the kids. I love the kids who are who clearly love Duke. Right. Who aren't just like who you can tell it's not just like sometimes you can tell there's dudes who don't like who like Duke, who like the coaches and their teammates and whatever, but aren't like living and breathing Duke. Right. And not every player has to do that. But the ones who very clearly do that, I do think that fans can tell, and it ingratiates them to fans a little bit more right out of the gate,
Oh, for sure.
And he gives me those vibes. I mean, obviously Coop gives me those vibes. And yeah, I'm excited, man.
For sure.
Yeah,
But,
all Sparks says just don't tweet. That's also a good policy generally. Is just don't tweet. You know, like if you you'd be surprised with some of the wild shit that I've tweeted, but before I hit send, I do sit and think, should I send this?
oh yeah.
You know?
Yeah. You know, we all have some wild tweets. But looking forward to, before we get out of here, we got
Ryan's got
Notre
some
Dame.
wild tweets. Where's Ryan? Why didn't he call in?
Ryan got some wild tweets. He wasn't tweeting tonight.
He's handing off some tweets to parents while he's there.
Yeah, he's stalking Coach K. He's outside Coach K's office, just waiting.
Trying to get him on the Crazie cast.
We got at Notre Dame Saturday, Pittsburgh Tuesday, back-to-back road games. What are you expecting this weekend?
I mean, I expect wins. I think.
Okay, let me ask you this. If we lose to Notre Dame on Saturday, what would you feel?
Disaster. I know that Notre Dame, they just beat the brakes off Virginia. My goodness.
Yeah.
But that was 8 days after they beat Marist at home by 4. And, only 11 days after they got blown out by the Citadel at home. So like, I think that says more about Virginia than it does about Notre Dame. I do think Micah Shrewsbury is a genuinely brilliant coach, is a great, great coach. They just don't have a high major roster this year. Like, just period. Right. They've got a mid-major roster. And that's the end of it. So like their 3-point percentage, 330th in the country, and they shoot one of the highest rates of threes there is. Like, that's tough. They are sub 300th in turnover percentage. I mean, like, they play one of the slowest tempos in the country. They're going to play decent defense. I wouldn't be surprised if they, if we see some stretches where Duke goes cold or they scheme Duke to like fall into some bad ISO habits. I wouldn't be surprised by that. Shrewsbury is a very clever guy. And I think long run Notre Dame will be really good with him at the helm. This just isn't the year. So we can't lose to them if we have any serious thoughts of certainly of winning an ACC title, but even of having like a top 3 NCAA tournament seed. I mean, they're 171st in KenPom. And before that Virginia win, they were 223rd. I mean, they're not Louisville bad, but they're close, Hey, so you can't lose that game. We'll be a 15-point favorite on the road, which is crazy, but it's true. I wouldn't be surprised if Duke comes in and loafs if we see another like first 4 minutes where we're like, really? This is what we're gonna do today? We can't just coast. That's certainly a possibility against a team like Notre Dame, but we need to win that game. And then Pitt, I mean, look, I've talked enough about Pitt on this podcast, I guess. I don't think they're a good team this year. I said preseason that if this ended up being Jeff's last year there, I would not be surprised.
Sheesh. I mean, they're still 9-4. I mean, there's not. I don't think they're that good, but like
they played
getting
nobody, dude.
But still getting fired though. Nobody. They are projected by KenPom a very generous 18-13 finish. I think that is generous. They are 321st in strength of schedule outside of the ACC. They beat up on bad teams. That's all they've done. They beat up on bad teams. The second they faced a team that is remotely good, they have folded like laundry. So, look, man, it might not be Jeff's fault.
But, they got one guy. That team has one guy. They got the freshman. That's it. I know Blake Hinson has some games here and there too. Maybe Blake Hinson will blow up against Duke. But they're basically their good performances have been like the freshmen going off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see,
the ACC Coach of the Year award, like, yeah, dude. But if you look at I know that they were in real bad shape. I know they were in real bad shape at Pittsburgh. I get it. But 14-19, 16-17, 10-12, 11-21, their best season under him is an 11 seed, 24-12. I mean, if they go back to being like a 500 type team this year, how long is Pitt going to be satisfied with being a 500 team? This is the whole problem with the ACC in general is a lot of schools, even in the transfer portal era where you can turn your program around in a year, if you've got some investment, they're like, well, let's give Kevin Keats another 2 or 3 years. It's like, what? NC State can go out and get a guy tomorrow who could bring in new guys. They could find a Jerome Tang. They could find a Tommy Lloyd. They could find somebody. You don't have to settle for being mid forever. You don't. It's okay. You can find a new coach. It's fine. I don't know why Louisville hadn't fired Kenny Payne. I know it's a money thing, but this is why the ACC is going to collapse in the next 5 years or whatever. Because all these, it doesn't have anything to do with basketball. It's all about football. But it doesn't help that basketball is keeping all these mid things going on. Somebody said mid is good for NC State, dude. Not for State fans. Talk to State fans about it. Virginia Tech, Mike Young, a great mid-major coach.
Send us to the Big 10 or something, Big 12. Get us out of there. Get us and USC out of there, man. Because it's taking. We got Cal coming in, Stanford, SMU. Come on, bro.
Dude, the Cal coach, Mark Madsen, when he comes to the ACC, he might be a top 5 ACC coach the year he comes. You know what I mean? He's a really good coach. It's just they don't have dudes. Same with Shrewsbury. Yeah. But at least they've moved on. They've found a guy. They've found guys. They're going to try guys. They're not going to go into year 8 of, well, maybe this year we'll win 11 games in conference. It's dude, embarrassing. Who are the best? This is a real question, Zion. Who are the best? And leave Shire out of it because he's young. And also because we're biased. Who are the best 4 coaches in the ACC?
The best 4 coaches.
I mean, let's assume. Let's also make it easy. You're gonna have Larinaga on there, right?
Yeah, Larinaga.
And you're gonna have Tony Bennett on there.
Tony Bennett.
Right. So that's 2. Who are the next 2?
Steve. What's his name? Forbes.
He would be on mine. Absolutely. Yep.
I'm trying to think.
Else?
The last one. I'm trying to think who's in the ACC.
Well, that's a problem too.
Brad Brownell?
It might be Brad Brownell.
Yeah,
who Clemson fans have been trying to fire for years. And he might be a top 4 coach in the conference, dude.
Definitely not Hubert Davis. Definitely not Hubert Davis.
It's not Hubert Davis. It's not Jeff. I love Jeff with all my heart. It's not Jeff. It's not my man Earl Grant. I almost said Ed Grant. Almost tanked it. It's not Earl Grant at BC.
Dave Stoudemire.
Leonard Hamilton has had a good 5 to 6 year run. You know what I mean?
It's cooked now. It's cooked for him now. It's done.
He's cooked. And when you go back and look at his resume, he's coached for 25 years. They made the tournament 8 years. He's made the tournament a third of the time, which I guess is good for Florida State, but it's not good for the ACC. Shrewsbury might be it, but it's too early. Mike Young is a great mid-major coach who can't get Virginia Tech into the tournament. Stoudemire, it's too early. It's definitely not Kevin Keats. Kevin Keatts is good for beating Duke once a year, once every 2 years, and that's it. And that's all she wrote. That's all, folks. You know?
I can't even think of anybody else. It's shameful. Shameful. This is what the ACC has become. But, we still got to win the ACC.
So we got to win the next 2 games. Like, this is a year where Duke has to win the ACC.
Yeah.
Like, come on, man. Like, this is you have to win the ACC this year. It'll be us and UNC and Clemson as the only 3 good teams in the conference.
Pretty much. I don't even think Clemson going last, to be honest. I think
Clemson once, and we'll play them in Cameron, I believe. Yep.
Okay.
Right?
We'll
play Miami once.
Got the schedule right here.
We'll play them at Miami. But Miami's not that good this year anyway, so it doesn't matter. But Miami's not that good every year, and yet they still make an Elite Eight.
Nah, they still have enough talent to where they the wrong night they can catch us on the wrong night.
I get it.
Yeah, we go to Miami. I mean, if this was a year, I mean, we got off to a bad start losing to Georgia Tech. But if there was a year to just run through the ACC, it'd kind of be this year.
If we can win at Miami and at Wake in the same week, then I think we win the ACC.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I agree.
Yeah, but we play Clemson once. It's at home, and we'll play Carolina twice. So between that Clemson game and those 2 UNC games, if we can win 2 of those 3, and not be dum-dums in January and lose some dumb thing in the next week, then yeah, we should win the ACC. There's always a world in which we drop some goofy ass game. It's gonna happen. It's only a matter of time. It will happen. But UNC will drop a goofy one too. Clemson will drop a goofy one too.
Man, Monty.
We got to win, man. Miami got
Oh, man, Monty, man. I'm finna block you from the live, Monty.
Under Couture, what I describe him as, I think I called him IT guy. My man, we're looking like.
Are we going? Yeah. Why do we always go to Virginia Tech? Like, when is Virginia Tech coming to Cameron?
We're going to Virginia Tech right after the Clemson game and right before we go to UNC. That game smells like that has lost stink all over it. Yeah. That has lost stink all over it.
Yeah.
We're better than Virginia Tech, but like that's a game that
we just can't win at Virginia Tech, man. When's the last time we won at Virginia Tech?
Bro, I looked this up the other day because somebody tried to get sassy about like, well, Duke always loses at NC State, and then I think my response was like, yeah, dude, Duke the last decade has lost at a lot of places. Like, we can't win at Clemson, we can't win at FSU, we can't win at Virginia Tech. You know, like there's just a bunch of schools in the ACC that for whatever reason kind of had K's number down the stretch there. And part of it was we'd always overlook them. And that's certainly the case there. Yeah, Virginia Tech beat us last year. They played in Cameron the year before that. We beat them. They beat us in 2021, but you don't get any credit for that.
Yeah.
We beat them. We beat the brakes off of them in 2020 at Castle. That was the last time we beat them at their place. And then they beat us in 2019 at their place. They beat us in 2018 at their place. So we're like one of our last 5 at their place, and we got to play them in between Clemson and UNC. Dude, come on.
Trap game. We'll see though.
Bad stink, dude. Wafting. Bad stink. Anyway, yeah, Notre Dame and Pitt, we got to win. To go back to your original question, we got to win those games, man. Got to win those games. Unimpeachable must win. Must beat Georgia Tech and Pitt at home in the next 2 games after that. Must beat Louisville, obviously, in the game after that. We need to win these next 5 games. And then we get to Clemson, Virginia Tech, UNC. We get to the interesting stuff.
Yeah.
You got to go 5-0 these next 5 games if you're a serious if you're a serious ACC title contender and if you're a serious top 3 NCAA tournament seed contender, you have to win these next 5 games.
Yeah. Well, we'll see.
And you have to not tweet at players or their parents.
Yeah, don't tweet at players or their parents or their cousins or their best friends or their girlfriends. Don't tweet. Just don't tweet. Just log off. Just delete your Twitter account.
Monty says Miami's got 30-year-old
enough,
doctorate
Monty.
students. He said Miami's got 30-year-old doctorate students. Hey, I've thrown
no, Russ. No. I'm trying to close, Russ. I'm trying to close.
I've thrown some ones up on a stage with some 30-year-old doctorate students in Miami. You know what I mean?
No. I'm trying to close. I'm trying to go to bed. I'm tired. All right. We appreciate y'all for tuning in. You know, I don't know when we'll be back, but we'll be back soon. Definitely subscribe to the podcast. Like us on YouTube. Help us out. Comment on YouTube too. Help the algorithm. But yeah, use the code Crazie on home field. If you want some Duke apparel, I'm sure they got some Duke apparel coming out soon. Go check that out. Use the code Crazie.
CBB Analytics. Analytics.
CBB Analytics. Use the code Crazie. Just use the code Crazie. You could be at Walmart. Use the code Crazie. It might work. But we appreciate you for tapping in with us. Go Duke. Good win. Yes, sir.